While my husband, Jake, was out, I went into his room and started looking through his things. I found several receipts in his drawer, and when I checked them, I saw that they were for brown bags. I had never received brown bags as gifts from Jake, and when I looked around the room, I couldn't find any women's bags. So I figured he must have bought them for someone else, maybe his lover. I can't believe he used our shared credit card to buy gifts for her. If he's using our credit card, doesn't that mean he's using my money too? I never thought Jake could be this terrible. My name is Lily, and I'm a 40-year-old office worker. I work at a well-known clothing company, so I'm paid well. After working hard all my life, I've reached a high position in my department. I really enjoy my job and hope to keep it until I retire. Even though I'm a workaholic and busy all the time, I have a family. I've been married to Jake for 10 years, and our son, Max, is 10 years old, the same age as our marriage. We all live happily together, but I do have some worries. My biggest worry is that Jake doesn't work much. I met Jake through work. At the time, I was working for a brand that appeared in a fashion magazine, and Jake was a fashion model. He was very good-looking and had a bright presence, which helped him land many modeling jobs. When we talked, we found we liked the same music and TV shows, and we instantly clicked. We started going out for dinner together, and that's how our relationship began. After 2 years of dating, I found out I was pregnant with our child, and we got married. It wasn't planned, but we were close as a couple, so it didn't feel forced. After Max was born, we were happy in our own way. But Jake's modeling career dropped sharply. Once he turned 25, the job offers slowed down, and by his late 20s, they stopped completely. I still had a stable job at a big company, so money wasn't a problem. I hoped Jake would try something new, but he didn't seem interested. After a few years, he had no jobs at all. He wasn't helping with housework either, so he became completely unemployed. When I was busy, Jake stayed at home with Max, which was helpful. But even after Max started elementary school, Jake didn't look for work. He just stayed home. I've been getting busier at work, so I haven't had the time to give Jake the attention he needs. I feel partly responsible for him being like this, and I've been trying to motivate him to work again. One day, I said, "You're 35 now. Why not try modeling for people in their 30s and 40s? I thought it might inspire him, but Jake said, "It's too much work, and the shoots take all day." That's what jobs are like though. Do you plan to never work again? I asked. He replied, "Actually, that sounds pretty great." What did he mean by that? Even though Jake isn't working, I didn't think about divorcing him. Max is still young, and Jake is a great father. Max loves him and calls him daddy. I didn't want to take Max's father away from him for my own reasons. Plus, Jake is still very handsome, even at 35. I think he's more attractive than most of the people I work with. Maybe it's because he still works out at the gym, and he looks great. If only he would work again, then he'd be perfect. One day, I saw my husband Jake wearing a suit in the morning. "What's going on, honey? Why are you dressed up?" I asked. "Oh, I have a job interview," he replied. "A job interview?" I asked, surprised. "Yeah, a friend of mine is a model, and he might be able to introduce me to an agency. They want to meet me or at least see what I'm like," he explained. "Really? Well, good luck. I hope it goes well," I said, happy to hear he was finally motivated to work. "Thanks, I'm heading out now," he said. I was so relieved to know that Jake was taking steps to get back to work. "Hey Max, maybe Daddy will be in a magazine again soon," I said to our son. "Wow, really?" Max replied excitedly. "If Daddy's in a magazine, I'll tell all my friends about it," Max said, grinning. I went to work that day feeling really good. After finishing up, I came home early to find out how Jake's interview went. But when I got home, he wasn't there. "Max, did Daddy come home yet?" I asked. "No, I don't think so," Max answered. I looked around, but Jake still wasn't home. It was after 2 a.m. when he finally walked in, clearly drunk. Since I had the day off the next day, I decided to stay up and wait for him. He barely noticed me as he collapsed onto the couch and fell asleep. I saw he was still holding his phone, and for some reason, I felt a strong urge to check it. I took his phone from his hand, unlocked it using his fingerprint, and looked at his messages. To my shock, I found intimate messages between Jake and a woman named Ruby. One of her messages said, "Dinner was delicious, and the hotel afterwards was so much fun." What was going on? I quickly took a photo of the conversation for proof. I recognized Ruby's face from her profile picture. She used to be a model for a fashion magazine, and I had worked with her a few times before. She had gotten married and quit modeling, so it seemed odd that she was now texting Jake like this. Were they both married and having an affair behind each other's backs? I felt a wave of anger, but I decided to wait until the next morning to see what Jake would say. When I woke him up, he seemed confused. I must have fallen asleep on the couch. Didn't you have a job interview yesterday? You didn't come home until 2 a.m., I reminded him. Job interview? He asked, acting surprised. Oh yeah, I did have the interview. But after that, I met up with an old friend at the office and we went out for drinks. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so we decided to catch up. I was suspicious. Who's this friend? I asked. He's just an old model friend. I don't think you've ever worked with him, Jake answered. I nodded, but something felt off. The way Jake was hiding details about meeting Ruby seemed fishy. I was sure now that he was having an affair, and once I have something to suspect, I can't let it go. I kept finding more and more things that made me suspicious, and the credit card bill was one of them. I used to buy clothes and things for work and hobbies on our shared credit card. But I had been so busy at work lately that I hadn't had time to shop. So the bill should have been lower than usual, but it was higher than normal. I looked back and realized it had been like this for the last few months. I'd just been too busy to check it earlier. I couldn't believe it. I started to suspect that my husband Jake was secretly using our credit card for something. I gave him the card for family expenses, and he usually spent about the same amount each month, so I didn't worry. But now, it seemed like he was spending a lot more money without telling me. I was sure it was to buy gifts for Ruby, his lover. Jake must have thought he could trick me with the story about his job interview. After that, he started going out more on weekends, saying things like, I was invited to go out with a friend from the agency. It was clear he was having an affair without any hesitation. I decided I would find out everything while I still could. One day, when Jake was out, I went into his room and started looking through his things. I found several receipts in his drawer. When I checked them, I saw that they were for women's brand bags. Jake had never bought me brand bags as gifts. I looked around his room, but I couldn't find any women's bags, so he must have given them to Ruby. I couldn't believe he used our shared credit card to buy gifts for his lover. If he's really using our credit card, then that means he's spending my money too. I never imagined my husband could be this selfish. At first, I thought Jake might not be working, but he was still thinking about me and our family. But one day, he said something that caught me off guard. One of my model friends invited me on a trip for the upcoming long weekend. I'm going. Really? But what about the money? I asked. Oh, I'll do it within my budget. It's not a problem. But if I turn it down, it might hurt my chances for future jobs, he said. What jobs? I have a friend who might be able to get me work. So if I stay on good terms with him, I might get a job. I couldn't believe the lie he was telling with such a straight face. I knew that trip was just an excuse for him to be with Ruby, but part of me felt lucky. It was finally my chance to get revenge on Jake. The day of his trip, I saw him off with our son, Max, both of us smiling. It was probably the last smile I'd give Jake. Then, I squatted down to Max's level and told him what I was thinking. Max, I want to live separately from your daddy. I know this is sudden, and I'm really sorry, but I want you to choose who you want to live with. Was I being too harsh, forcing a 10-year-old to make such a choice? But Max answered right away. I want to live with you, Mommy. Really? You won't be able to see Daddy as much anymore, you know? That's okay. Daddy's been making things hard for you, right? And he's been with a woman I don't know. What do you mean? Sometimes when I come home from school, I see this woman I don't recognize at the house with Daddy. What? He brought her into our house. Daddy says she was someone he was working with, but she always leaves when I show up, so I don't know who she is. How could Jake be so horrible and selfish? I couldn't believe he tried to deceive our son too. Hearing this, I was completely done with him. At first, I was going to just stop the credit card in time for Jake's trip, but then I changed my plans. I was going for full revenge. I knew who Ruby's husband was, and I had visited him at his home with a business associate a long time ago. They lived in a really nice house, and they probably hadn't moved out yet. I checked Ruby's Facebook and found her husband's profile. But they still live in the same house, based on the recent photos I saw. I contacted my parents and brothers, explained the situation, and they immediately came to help me pack up Jake's belongings. I sent Jake's things to the house where Ruby lived, along with the proof of the affair and a letter addressed to Ruby's husband. Then I suspended the credit card we shared, packed up my stuff, and moved out. Theo, now that we've stopped Daddy's card, let's get out of here. Yeah, sure. For now, we decided to go straight to my parents' house and stay there temporarily. It felt so relaxing to be back at my parents' place, enjoying my mom's home-cooked meal again. My brothers also stopped by, and we had a small family reunion. My dad was so happy to see his grandson, Theo. In the evening, I got a call from Jake. Hello. Oh, Lily, I'm really sorry, but I urgently need you to transfer some money to my account. Why? I'm a little short on cash. But you said you'd do it within your budget and savings. I did, but please, I'll pay you back later. How are you going to pay me back when you're not even working? Well, I'm about to get a job with the agency. I'll have money soon. Please, I beg you. You can't come home like this, or they'll stop working with me. I see. So where's this agency? Huh? You're about to get a job, right? Can you at least tell me the name of the agency and the model you're working with? Oh, you can't say it? Why? I completely forgot. Really? What are you going to do about that? I'll call the agency and check. No, don't do that. You'll embarrass me. I'm not buying your lies anymore. You're traveling with a woman, right? What are you talking about? Ruby Green. She's a former model you worked with. She's married now. Jake let out a scream, one I had never heard from him before, sounding really upset. That's crazy talk. Who did you buy all those brand goods for? You gave them to Ruby with our credit card, didn't you? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, it doesn't matter because the truth will come out soon. I suspended the credit card. I don't know if it's the hotel bill or the restaurant bill you can't pay, but you're on your own. When you get home, just sign the divorce papers. Goodbye. Divorce? What the hell are you saying? I hung up on him and turned off my phone. Now Jake wouldn't be able to reach me. He'd have to suffer through his trip. A few days later, Jake showed up at my parents' house, looking exhausted. Oh, Lily, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. He dropped to his knees, begging. I won't forgive you. I already said I'm divorcing you. I can't stay with someone who betrayed our family like this. No, please. If this continues, it'll only make things worse for you. According to Jake, Ruby's husband found out about the affair when I sent Jake's things to Ruby's house. Ruby's husband came to Jake's house after the trip, and now Jake was in trouble because Ruby's husband was demanding alimony. Well, that's none of my business now, and of course, I'll be charging you and Ruby alimony too. You'll have to pay child support as well. Oh no, I'm sure you destroyed the divorce papers I left at home, so I've got new ones here. Jake had no choice but to sign the divorce papers, surrounded by my family. The divorce was finalized without any more drama. My ex-husband and his lover were both stuck paying alimony. Now, Jake works as a bartender to cover the alimony and child support payments. One of my colleagues visited the bar and told me that Jake was being taunted by younger coworkers, like hurry up and make this drink. Well, he deserved it. On the other hand, I rented an apartment near my office, where Theo and I now live happily. Theo is as handsome as Jake, but I'll make sure to raise him right so he doesn't turn out like his father. Jake was what you would call a typical good-for-nothing man. Why do so many handsome guys turn out to be pricks like him? Despite everything, I'm good at my job, diligent, logical, and smart. I hope that Theo inherits my personality and not his father's. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.